So now we want to build up our presentation sheet. This is an example of what I'd like to see you put together. A 3D view of your building, a floor plan or plan view of it. This could be at, I think, level 1, and then a front elevation, a south elevation to be specific. And we have to do some modifications to change scales and that, but it's pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me go back to Revit. And I'm going to close off the title block since we're not using that right now. And I can go to the 3D view just so you can see where we've left off. And I'm going to drag that onto our sheet. So I'm going to go to Sheets, select our sheet, and I'm going to drag I'm going to drag that 3D view onto the sheet and just place it anywhere for now. Oh, you notice we have some kind of annoying things. We have these level lines showing, and I'm going to just show you quickly how we can get rid of those. So I'm going to just double click into this. I'm going to select one of these level lines. I'm going to right click on it, and then I'm going to go hide in view for the whole category. That means all of those level lines will disappear. So I select category, and they're all gone. We can still leave the reference grid lines in. I think that's fine. And then what I want to do again is right click on that and deactivate the view. That means that I can no longer edit it. Now you'll notice that the title bar under this, it says 3D, is really large, takes up a lot of space. So what you do is you delete this view and don't worry about it. And we can drag this back on again and it'll be more neatly cropped around it. Now this says 3D view. What we could do is go in here and rename this. So if I double click on this, it'll allow us to rename it. And I could go model view. And click off of that. And you'll notice if we zoom in here, it now says model view on that. We can further edit these lines, right, by just clicking on this element and then sliding it around. But I'm not going to make that necessary for this part of the project. So for instance, like what kind of bothers me is this is hanging off a little bit long. So if you just select the object and that blue dot highlights, you can pull that back a little bit. Okay, so we want to get that floor plan on. So let's see what happens, what it looks like if we drag level 1 onto the screen. We're not seeing those, we haven't drawn any walls above the foundation yet, so that's kind of a boring view. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And let's try to drag the site view on and see if that gives us a little more information. All right, now the problem with the site view is it's very small. So what we may want to do is actually just change the scale of that. But let's do that after we put our front elevation on. So I'm going to go to the elevations, and I'll click on the south elevation so you can see what it looks like. And it seems like a reasonable view. So I'm going to go back to our sheet, and I'll drag that south elevation on down here. Now our south elevation is actually rendered, it's rendered in realistic view also, so we get that brick texture on it. I think that reads fairly well. So we can probably leave that. Our problem is we're showing our site plan right now and it's way too small because it's of the wrong scale. If we were to click into this, you'll notice that this says that it's at 1/8 inch scale to a foot. I'm going to right click on this again and deactivate that view. I'm going to double click on this one and you'll see it's 1 to 20 feet. And I'm going to just go ahead and change that so it's the same 1/8 to 1 foot. And then I'm going to right click on it again and deactivate that view. Now you notice it's moved it all the way out of the position that we want it in. So I'm going to just select it and hit delete. And then I'm going to drag that site back on again. And you'll notice we'll get an indication, we should, when we're lined up perfectly over one over the other. And so I'll click that off. And we still have that problem that our title box is too big. So let's do a little more editing with this before we finish off. So I'm going to double click into this box. I'm going to select, I'll select all of these elements and let's see if I can right click on these. And I'm going to do hide in view by category, and they're all going to disappear. And then we have these little, what are part of the site marker tool that I want to get rid of. So I'm going to select all of those. Let me just zoom in here a little bit. select that again, roll over it and right click, hide in view, all by category, and that disappears. And once again, when we're done with that, we'll right click and then deactivate the view. And then I'm just going to delete the view again and then redrag it on. And once again, notice how I've lined it up perfectly over the one below it. This is important. This shows that the relationship between the elements are in one-to-one correspondence. So I know that this column is right here in our drawing. You notice how all our grid lines all line up really nicely. So this is a final example of what I would expect of a submittal for the M2 project.